The cost of IT in business can be staggering. From hardware and software expenses to services like internet and phone, you don't need to spend a fortune on IT to succeed. If your organization spends more than $500 monthly on any service, or you're considering signing a long-term contract, IT Enabled can help you manage your technology and minimize your costs. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation. IT Enabled, we're here to help.
Hi, I'm Tara Watson-Watkins, President and CEO of the Lufkin Angelina County Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the Connect podcast, connecting business to the community. I'm here today with my co-host, Blake Pollino with BP Media Group.
Super excited to have Chief of Police for the City of Zavalla, Chris Wade, here on the podcast to share more about the city, his role, and some of the awesome changes that have happened and some of the things that they have planned for the future. Let's jump into that episode now.
So we are honored to have the police chief of Zavalla, Chris Wade, with us. Thanks, Chief, for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about your background, and then we'll get into what's going on in your community.
Okay. Well, I started in law enforcement in 2008, actually in Zavalla as a reserve officer.
Cool.
I was there about 4 months, and then I went to work for the sheriff's office. I worked for the sheriff's office up until 2015. From there, I went to work for the state fire marshal's office as an arson investigator.
Oh, wow.
Man, you got some stories.
I loved the job, but I hated being away from home.
Yeah.
I was every week we were going somewhere. So this job come open, I applied, and for some reason they decided to pick me.
So that is home for you.
Yes.
Yeah, born and raised there.
Great.
Yep.
That's great that you got to come back home.
Yep. I was born and raised there, graduated high school there in 2005.
Great. Cool.
I'm on the school board there.
Awesome.
I'm a member of the fire department there. So pretty much.
Is there anything you don't do there?
I don't know.
Do you fish there?
Yeah, we fish. We do.
Absolutely.
So tell us about Zavalla. Tell us about the city, about the community. We do have a couple of listeners who are in Ireland. Again, shout out to whoever you are. Please reach out and tell me who you are. But for people who may not know or super familiar with the community, tell us a little bit about it.
Okay. Well, we said right on Lake Sam Rayburn. We're a big fishing community. Population-wise, we're not that. I think we're 713. But during the summer months, we really grow because of the lake. You know, there's all kinds of Airbnbs down there, cabins for rent. So during the summertime, all the fishermen, they host some of the biggest bass tournaments on that lake. So really we're known for the lake is what Zavalla is known for.
Mm-hmm. You know, for those of you who may not be familiar with the area, it's one of the prettiest parts of East Texas. It is, like Chief said, they're on Lake Sam Rayburn. It's the largest man-made lake in the state of Texas. And pine trees that are so big you can't even wrap your arms around. It's so beautiful down there. But you know, they've hosted everything from Oakley Bass to FLW, and everything in between. So it is very well known, and it's a beautiful community. So if you're looking to get away for a weekend and to get away from the world, Zavalla, Texas is a great place to go.
And that's what we're really turning into. If you look, we're turning into a retirement community. Right. A lot of people retire from Houston and Dallas and buying places on the lake and moving up there.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame them.
No, not at all.
It's a pretty place. Well, we know that Zavalla is getting a new highway. Let's talk about that.
We are.
Big old highway.
We are. We have an overpass now. We're beating Huntington. they only got a red light. We got an overpass now.
Right.
Yep, we got a new highway. I think they're actually pretty much on the finishing stages of it.
Yeah.
It's a 4-lane. There is an overpass goes over Zavalla now. And that highway was made nothing more than for hurricane evacuation. Okay. Is what it was designed for. And, you know, hopefully we won't ever have another hurricane where we have that, but I'm sure we will. But, you know, hopefully that'll help with the traffic flow and get people.
So it used to be, for those of you that aren't familiar, it was a 2-lane highway. Mm-hmm. And when we get hit in Houston, Beaumont, all of that area, even, coming from like years ago when Ike happened and hit New Orleans, I mean, our area is a major hurricane evacuation route. And so this will help not bottleneck
Right.
through our small communities to get people on to where they need to get to safety.
Yeah, we hope so. So that was a major problem, that old intersection that was there being a 2-lane. You basically had to work it. You had to have officers there working that intersection because you had people turning from northbound and southbound. You're trying to get all the traffic through. So it was a pretty big headache when you had that many cars trying to get through there.
Right.
But hopefully this will change all that.
That's right.
Yeah, I actually just drove it Friday. I was coming back from Beaumont and came back that way, and it's nice. Like, it's really, I hadn't even realized that it was all pretty much done. So
It is. And, we catch, now that it's 4-lane, the speed limit did change. It's still 55 through the city. And we catch a lot of flack from people that, think that the city regulates those speed limits, but we don't on state highways.
Interesting.
The state still does.
Okay.
Really?
The state mandates what the speed limit is. We just enforce it. The only thing the city can mandate on speed is city streets.
Okay.
And
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. That's interesting. So can you still patrol that highway for people speeding and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, we're still Texas peace officers, so we still enforce the law, but the state of Texas sets the speed limit. Like TxDOT sets those speed limits.
So it's 55 during that. Okay, so do not speed through Zavalla.
Yeah, 55. Interesting. That's a great. We love busting myths on this podcast, so that's a good one. I had always just assumed that you go through a smaller town and it goes from 75 to 55. That maybe that small town was just trying to make a little extra revenue or something. But
yeah, we have no control over setting the speed limit.
Interesting.
Really good to know. Awesome. So tell us more about the police department specifically. So how are things going there? What's kind of new in?
Everything's good. We're not a big agency. We're a 3-man agency. Myself and 2 other officers, Lieutenant James Denby and Officer Jacob Hayden.
Do you ever sleep?
Some, yeah. We have, we don't have 24-hour coverage.
Okay.
Okay.
There's about 4 to 5 hours throughout the night that's not covered. But with that, the sheriff's office takes that slack for us.
Oh, that's good.
But everything's good. We got experienced officers. They do their jobs. They enjoy working there, and I can't complain. I could have it a lot worse.
So you're not only the chief of police, but you're also the fire chief. Is that correct?
I was.
Okay.
Now I'm just the president of the fire department. I was the fire chief last meeting. I resigned from the fire chief position just because I've got too many irons in the fire.
I can imagine.
And so I felt that it would be better for me to step down, let somebody else that has more time take up that position.
And is that a volunteer fire department?
We are.
Okay.
We are. Yeah, we're a volunteer fire department. We have about 17 members.
Okay.
On the fire department. Yeah, but it's strictly volunteer.
Interesting. So you kind of touched on this earlier, but I want to talk about this hidden gem that the lake is. So one of our businesses is pretty closely connected with real estate, and I just could not believe how many days a week we found ourselves out there at the lake we have a real estate photography business, taking pictures of lake houses that were for sale. I mean, it was booming, and still is, to a degree, of people wanting to relocate out there. So tell us about the resources that are available out in your guys' area.
Well, there's a lot, you're right, there's a lot of lake houses, lots of lake property, and again, there's people moving in from Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, from all over to want to move to the lake.
Yeah.
In town, we do have a Brookshire Brothers. We have a Dollar General, a Family Dollar. I think out by the lake, they're putting in a washateria.
Cool.
I seen some signs out there the other day. But as far as, resources, that's about as much as we got as far as coming into Lufkin.
And do you still have restaurants though?
We do. We have the Eagle's Nest. We have a taco stand. One of the restaurants just closed.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I've eaten many a meal at the Eagle's Nest.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Delicious.
That Brookshire Brothers is like my U.S. embassy is the wrong word for it, but it's like my embassy. So when we're out there taking pictures, we are way out there a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a lot of times 40 minutes from getting back into town, and that Berkshire Brothers is a welcome sight for me most of the time. Like, I can go get some gas, I can get some snacks, get something to drink. So that's our little hub right there when we're way out there in different parts of the woods taking photos and stuff. So, well, very cool. So what would you like to share about the city? So for our listenership, for the people who are listening, it's Angelina County, the surrounding areas, and Ireland. Shout out again. What would you like people to know about the community, or what message would you like to tell?
Well, we've been heavily impacted by the media here lately.
Sure.
Because of the water issues, the street issues, and that's the city council's getting a big, black eye over that. But, none of that happened overnight. That's been 30 years in the making. It's just, when you're a small town, small budget, and it's just hard to keep up sometimes. And then when everything does go to falling apart, you don't have the money to take care of it. You just got to fix what you can. But, for the most part, Zavalla's a very good town. The people are friendly. Everybody comes together when, something happens. We have a great school. We have a new superintendent. He's been there a couple of years now. He's doing a great job. It's just, it's a great place to be. Like I said, it is the hidden gem. You got the lake, got the Angelina National Forest, Boykin Springs Parks, several different parks on the lake. But other than that, it's just if you like to fish or you like to be on the lake, it's a place to be.
It is.
And if you have never been out to Boykin Springs, I encourage you to go. You can actually go to visitlufkin.com, and then you can click on play, and underneath that it has all of the different parks and trails and things, and you can find the coordinates, you can find everything that Boykin Springs has. It is truly one of the most beautiful sites in this area. So, take a visit out and go look and see what Zavalla has, because it's a beautiful little spot in East Texas.
Yeah, it is. We actually, Boykin Springs, we have our kids' birthday parties there.
Nice.
Yeah.
You can rent the pavilion.
You can have weddings. Like we've seen people get married out there.
That's right.
It's a really cool place.
So we're having their birthday party next month out there. So.
Years ago when I was hired on with the city, that was in 2009, we were finishing Castles Boykin. And we actually last week had on Becca Chance to talk about the cultural district. Well, the Castles Boykin Park is named after her parents, Dr. Bill and Emily Shelton.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, cool. And so it was really Dr. Shelton's vision was to have this beautiful pavilion out on the lake and to be able to bring in and entice different bass tournaments and to have weddings. And so Castles Boykin, Castle. I'm getting everything all
the Boykin.
Yeah, they're all like going backwards. It is such a beautiful place. The pavilion will actually hold 400 people seated under the pavilion. It's got a beautiful sunset right there. So if you're looking for a place to get married, look no further than that. The only thing you have to deal with sometimes is a boat starting up if they're launching. But it's such a pretty area, and I think it's a great way to tie in all the different people we have on the podcast every week is to talk about that. So I got to actually be kind of in on the last few years of that and help do the big grand opening and all of that. So that's a special spot to me.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It's a very pretty place.
That's right. So, well, thanks for being on.
Oh, not a problem.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Come back anytime and tell us what's going on.
Awesome.
Anytime y'all want me.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for listening to the podcast again this week. We truly appreciate all of your support. If you'll do me a huge favor and rate and review the podcast wherever you're listening, leave us a review, and that just helps other people find the podcast and the search rankings and all that great, other algorithm stuff. So thank you so much for listening or watching this week, and we will see you next week.